know we love it. Let's go! What a game! Let's go! I grew him up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of our new show, the Battleground Breakdown, the show where we break down rated battlegrounds and discuss hot topics from around the RBG community. I'm Bgwizard, and joining me as co-hosts are Barndoorr and Herotherogue. We always like to start off the show by catching up with everyone, so Barndoorr, if we could hear a little bit about your week and a brief rundown of what you've been up to since last episode.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, there you are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm good. Hey, what's going on, guys? Glad to be back here for the second week in a row. I have been literally doing nothing but working. I work in directional drilling right now, and then I stream and play WoW on the weekends, and it has been 10, 11, 12-hour days every day. One of our teams broke a water main while we were drilling, so it's been long overtime hours every week. So I really have not had a chance to play much RBGs this week, but I am planning on getting to some this weekend. What about Hero? Wait,
Let's see.
this way?
Yeah, no, you're right. So, since last week, I've been doing a ton of games, actually. I probably played, I might be at a record high for a week-long games. I hit this last week, and I decided it was time to alt it up. So, I've been playing a lot of my Alliance Rogue. I played a lot of my Horde Warrior, my Horde DK, and I even randomly decided to level a mage and gear it as well for absolutely no reason. No idea what I'm doing on that class, but I'm having a blast. So I'm doing a ton of alts, getting a chance to play with some of my viewers at some of the lower MMRs, and getting a chance to see some different classes. I want to try to learn a little bit more with this current meta, play around with some different builds. So I don't think I've queued my main at all in the last week, but I've just been tearing it up in the alts. So I had a blast with that, man. BG.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been same as always, just casually streaming and RPGs, and I've been this past week I've been really pushing the YouTube, so trying to do like daily RPG videos and guides and stuff. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Definitely check it out if you have time, and yeah, that's it for the intro. So we're gonna jump into our first topic here, which is play or veto. Player veto is the segment of the show where we're given two map choices, and we have to pick one RBG map to play and one to veto or neutral. This week's map picks are Seething Shore and Temple of Kotmogu. And Hero, between Seething and Temple, which map do you play, and which do you veto, and why?
I like these two maps here. So I lovingly refer to these maps as the pub breaker. If you're pugging at all, or if you're on LFG, things like this, these are two maps that I feel like are some of the easiest games to play and some of the hardest games to lead. So if you don't know those people on your team, either of these maps could go in either direction. I'm gonna have to go with Kotmogu here for my play. For realistically, the biggest reason of Seething Shore is just so incredibly bugged. I can't count how many games I've lost or points I've lost to disconnections and black screen, things we talked about last week a little bit. I still think Seething is just almost unplayable in its current state. If Seething was not bugged, however, I think I would go the other way. I really like Seething. I think the map itself is really cool, and I think it rewards arena players a little bit more than the normal RBG strat of just come in, blow out a team fight, and just win the game by default. Like let's say like a Gilneas. There's a couple maps there where I really think team fight just heavy carries the team. Seething Shore on the opposite hand, you're split. You don't have so a lot of times like when I'm on an off base, I don't have a boomkin with convoke and an arms warrior with sharp, and I don't have these big things. I have to look at cross CC, setting up a kill window, and getting that base. Same as a lot of people play a tank at the top base with a holy paladin. You guys are playing just attrition there. You guys are just spinning. So I think Seething has potential to be my favorite map at the end of the day if it worked. But Kotmogu is always a blast. I think Kotmogu is fun. I think the different strategies that people play are fun. I've been seeing a lot of people playing at one tank and having them cap early on and try to hold it that way. I've seen the no caps and just team fight. Some people go mid and hold it. Some people kite it. I just think that map itself is fun. It's also just very fast paced. I think as a rogue, it rewards rogue's playstyle a lot. So definitely gonna go. I'm gonna veto seething. I'm definitely gonna accept the Q on hot mogu every time and have some fun. I don't know. Interested on your standpoint on this one, Barndoorr.
So honestly, it depends on what team I'm playing with. If I'm playing more of a main team, like I know the players and I feel more confident about it, I would rather. I mean, both scenarios, I would rather play Caught Magoo and veto Seething because, let's be honest, nobody likes Seething Shore. But like my reason is different, right? Because on on Seething Shore, if I'm playing with like viewers or people that I don't really know, it's so hard because I think Seething Shore is one of the most telling maps when it comes to individual player skill. Because as a leader, anybody who's led RBGs on Seething Shore knows it's just impossible to micromanage where everybody is. In a Warsong Gulch, you can tell people where to go. You can tell people what to do on Arathi Basin. You have to rely on their own skill to carry them through where to be, what to do, when to float. Should I have two healers here, or should I keep healers split up? What should I do here? Where should the tank go? Seething Shore is all on the individual player for the most part, and I think Caught Magoo I can kind of carry it a little bit on just by telling everybody group up here, grab orbs, keep running, or now get in middle, now fight. Like you can control the pace of the match more. For both scenarios, I play Caught Magoo and I veto Seething Shore, but for different reasons based on what team I have. So, what do you think, BG?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think it's another unanimous 3-0. I obviously have been pretty vocal about Seething Shore. I think I agree with you guys. Like I think it could be a decent map. It's just for me, like I literally every game I get into Seething Shore, I have to reload, and then half the time I DC or I come back in and I'm still glitched. So literally every time I get the map, I'm going down 8v10 on Seething Shore, and it costs me a lot of rating, and it's super frustrating. And obviously, I lead RBGs, so like picture a team like not having a leader for the first 3 minutes. Like it's really bad. Like my teams go down like 300 or 400 points. We're starting negative 400 points basically. And it's really tough. I personally don't think it should be in the rated map pool at all. Until it's fixed, or yeah. And Temple, for Temple I will choose play. I like Temple. It's an old school map. It's unique, kind of like the conversation we had last week with Deepwind Gorge. I think it's kind of like that, like where it's just like a unique one-off map. It's been around a long time, and yeah, I think it's a good map. I like it. Nothing wrong with it. It is a little bit more difficult than some other maps, I would say, but it's still a good map. So yeah, I'll choose play Temple and veto Seething, which leads into our next topic, which is important to the RBG community, I think, in my opinion at least. So the topic for Seething Shore bugs. Can it get fixed or removed already? And we do have a petition going on, so we'll link that in chat later on. But for the Seething Shore bugs, as mentioned last week, the three of us randomly queued into each other and got Seething Shores the map on stream. And the following is what happened in that game, and is what happens in almost every single RBG game on that map to this date. So without further ado, we are going to take a look at the Seething Shore bugs.
From that?
I do. So if everybody will tune into the stream, we are going to take a look at these clips.
Oh man, this game was just
So this is not actually the game we
Boy,
played.
was it ever a 10v10? Oh, wait,
This,
this isn't the game?
yeah, this is the
Not that one.
so this is the boat going out of bounds. We are basically you can't res. So like when you're on the boat, you go, if you go out of bounds, it counts down and then it ports you back onto the boat. Basically, what's happening in this glitch, which is still in the game today, is that you're on the boat and you need to res, and it just ports you back up to the boat, essentially wasting like 15 seconds and denying a spin. So this is the clip for this. This happened in 2018, and Blizzard actually commented on this clip exactly. That's why it has so many views. They looked at it and they said they fixed it publicly. They tweeted that they fixed it, and in the next clip, you'll see it's still in the game today. So here we go.
Wait, they said that they fixed it.
They said that they fixed it publicly on their Twitter, on Warcraft Dev's Twitter. They said they fixed the boat going out of bounds. And here's what it looked like, and here's the clip. That is the reason they said that 2 years ago. Okay, so I'm trying to get a body res to spin the node below me. And it ports me back up because I'm out of bounds.
It did it to me a couple days ago. I was, I think, 3 or 4 seconds left on res. It took me out of bounds and it teleported me
what's
back
going on?
again and reset my res timer.
Yeah, it's stupid.
So
It definitely is. I've had it experienced to me like this season, last week or whatever.
yeah. So this is the bug. So obviously they commented on that. They said that they fixed that glitch. And this is what happened 24 days ago. So like you res, right? You see the debuff? It's like I'm on the boat. I'm in the center of the boat and it's telling me I'm out of bounds. And then I go to res, bang, ported back up. So like the boat literally just naturally goes out of bounds, which is not good.
I don't know how that's just even possible in the design team to not see that while basic testing.
Well, they didn't test. Like yeah. I remember before Shadowlands, we were asking, like, I don't know if anybody else was, but I was trying to push for RBG testing because I knew there was a bunch of glitches still, and that RBGs.
Yeah, I remember you. I remember you pushing for that, and I remember like trying because I remember you asking like, "Hey, can we get some people on beta together to try out RBGs?" And then I think you realized like they were disabled or something, or war games were disabled, and you couldn't test RBGs. That was the problem.
I never got an invite. They just never responded to me, and as far as I know, nobody tested RBGs. Like I didn't hear anybody test them. Like I was looking for it, but it seems like we just got ignored. Not that I deserve to test, but like I think somebody should be.
Well, wait, you never got a beta invite?
No.
Well, I had the beta and BGs weren't even on there. They
Oh,
just weren't
really?
happening.
Yeah.
Nobody was queuing. Yeah, I was on beta for the
Yeah, I
entire
had the
time.
beta too. I thought they gave it to. Didn't you get Glad in season 4? I swear you have the corrupted Glad now, don't you?
Yeah.
BG.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Sorry, I was.
I thought they sent out a round of beta invites to everybody who got Gladiator and above. I swear that was a thing.
Really? I
So
swear I
that's
was.
why I got mine.
What?
But apparently I got mine even earlier, but I don't know.
Maybe they
All
just
I know
don't
is,
like me, man.
somebody told me like, yeah, if you're opted into it and you have Gladiator on your thing, they gave you a Gladiator Cutting Edge. They gave you a beta invite.
Wow.
That's what I thought too. That's what I was told, but I never had actual confirmation on that. That was just word of mouth. But I heard that same thing, that for the PvE testers they did Cutting Edge Raiders first, and then for PvP as well. I don't even think it had to be Glad. I think it was just 2400 or above.
Huh.
But I don't know. I don't think they counted RBGs for it. I'm not positive. Someone was telling me that it was based on threes. But even when I was in beta, it was super easy to find skirms to play, but no one was doing random battlegrounds, which makes sense. I mean, there's no benefit from randoms. But obviously, too, same thing. No one's doing rated Battlegrounds either. There was really no testing on that sound at all, and I know BG was really vocal about that on Twitter, saying that that should be something being looked into with scaling, balancing, map play, things like that, to see what the whole new expansion was going to look like, to actually get an inside view, because we knew what arenas were going to look like pretty early on. Give or take a few things like marksman hunter changes and things like that happened, but that first few weeks of the season was pretty much predetermined by beta. We all knew what classes were going to be good, what comps to play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
RBGs went in completely blind. We had just absolutely zero idea what the meta was going to be, and I remember free-forming that a lot, figuring out what was going to be good.
Yeah, I would love to be like a fly on the wall, in like Blizzard's conversations, because like I think maybe because in BFA they kind of ignored RBGs. There wasn't much incentive to play them, so they kind of the PvP population, well RBG population, kind of declined drastically. And then obviously in Shadowlands they fixed that. A lot of people are playing now, but I wonder if like if if they even talk about RBGs, like maybe just none of them play RBGs, so it's like not even on their radar. But I also think maybe that's like a fear of like splitting up the PvP population. Like their entire esports programs and streamers, they're all arena players, and maybe they don't want to take away from that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but
See, I'm trying to think because they've done and they've hinted at like. So I'm trying to think. And BG, you'd be a better one to answer this. Have they done an official like 6v6 tournament, or was that just like
it was us.
was that just held by third parties? Because
Yep.
I know GCD TV did stuff at one point. You did stuff with the Gosu crew, and so I know there's been third party stuff that has like any like official 6v6 or 10v10 tournaments ever been held.
Yeah, so it's important to note that like the GCD guys like work, in my opinion, like I don't know, I think they work for Blizzard. Like they're like
Well, they do now because
yeah,
the leader of GCD TV, it was D Machine,
right.
and he actually got. That's the reason you don't see GCD TV tournaments anymore,
Mhm.
is because he got hired as the head guy for the AWC, and so he can't do GCD TV anymore. I was really honestly with that hoping that somebody else like he would pass it off, because I love the AWC. Don't get me wrong; there needs to be some sort of esports aspect, and we can talk about this all day. But I think having third-party things like GCD TV, were good, right? Like competitions or tournaments for people who may not be like those professionals. Like I don't like. I want to enter a 3v3 tournament where I'm not going to go up against Sea-Doo, right?
Right.
Like, or have a like GCD TV do stuff like the 6v6 that they did. But I mean, that's a completely other topic. I didn't mean to get into it, but I'm just saying that I was asking if anybody else had held any kind of like tournaments like that.
Yeah, so so we tested with Starship, who's like the guy at BlizzCon that you see behind the computers, like Peekaboo and Waz, like the dude standing behind to make sure they're not cheating or anything. That's the dude that we tested with to get the 66 RBG thing fixed, like the spectator UI. And he works for Blizzard, but then what happened is we never heard anything from them again. Like we tested with our community back in the day with Resurgent, and then we ended up doing the first ever 6v6 league, which was cool. But then GCD came out and they used the fix that, as far as I know, they didn't give to anybody. They didn't make it public. And again, I haven't tested it since, so maybe they did. I could be eating my own words here. But as far as I know, they kind of tested with us, and then they did their own 6v6 one-off tournament for $1,000 prize pool, and then that was it. Like it's like it kind of comes back to the whole thing. Like they're so focused on arena, and what you're saying, Barn. Like it'd be really cool if they were just like, hey guys, like we're gonna do a workshop today. Invite like content creators like you, Barn, or like Flarkness. He does tournaments. Whatever. I'd show up. Like do like a workshop and invite people that would do tournaments, and then give them the freaking spectator UI so that there can be RBGs as an esport, because it doesn't seem like they care or they have time. And then whenever something gets big enough, like we made the 6v6 RBG League, then they just, this is my personal feeling about it, but they just came in and tried to monopolize it, and then we never saw it again. So, like, it's kind of...
Well, nobody else did anything either, right?
Right.
Nobody else did anything. No GCD, no method, nobody else. And that's the thing is like, I really wish the community had responded better. Like, if they did that 6v6 league in, like, Shadowlands right now, I think it would be super successful because the interest in Shadowlands, but they did it when the interest in RBGs was, like, super low anyways. And it didn't matter for gearing at all. Like, right now, everybody loves RBGs because it matters for gearing. But hold on, where is it at? Wait, is it right here? Nope, right over here. You see, there's like a little thing on my thing. You see what I'm talking about? There you go. Sorry, I'm trying to point to.
Oh shit! I see. Yeah, I got you. I got you, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's.
Shit, I think we got off topic of
we did.
Shore bugs. I think we all just unanimously agree that Seething Shore is more bugged than Beta for Azeroth when it first came out, and it needs to just be either fixed, every bug. We're talking every bug. The reload glitch, the double node spawning, how you can't cap one while another one is spawning on top of it, which they said they fixed it. But I haven't actually played Seething Shore since they fixed it, so I don't know.
It is not fixed.
That's great. And the whole going out of bounds thing. And have any of you guys experienced it? I went up against a team the other day. You know that island off in the distance? Like, the island off in the distance in the water?
Okay.
Their team, instead of playing the game, went to that island. And they actually were able to get there. We tried to get there. Like, we tried to swim out to it or jump off it teleported us back. I don't know how the fuck they got out there. But they did.
I wish I was streaming this. I might have to go back and see if I was recording it, but I actually found a new bug that I'd never seen before. I found a team where their prot paladin got onto the other team's boat and was fighting them as soon as they got off the res.
What the fuck?
I've never seen that one. That's the only time I've seen that, but
that's the Rex Troy shit right there.
Yeah, and he was just up there fucking it up. I mean, just tearing it up with... I was just blown away. I was like, I don't even know how this guy got here. He's on the wrong boat. I don't know if he res there, if he knew how to get there, if it was a glitch, or however it happened, but it was decently funny to witness. I mean...
I don't understand how that could even happen.
Yeah, no, probably just vibing on the other boat. Dude
no
did
idea.
Fucking like 10 million damage too, because the PvE damage on the mobs up there was scaled so bad too. His damage was so weird looking, but yeah, he was just up there, unkillable, just going off. It was crazy. Every time someone rezzed up there, he'd just immediately be on you. Like, oh, here we go again.
Wow.
Yeah, but BG, you wanna tell everybody where they can go to sign that petition?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, give me 10 seconds here just to pull it up. And everybody in Twitch chat, we are doing a petition. Just go ahead and fill this out. It takes 10 seconds of your time. So if you just want to fill that out, hey, thanks, Ariest. But yeah, if you guys just click that, you can kind of help create positive change, because all the things we're talking about right now obviously are not good. And so we made a petition to try and get some positive changes, because it's really frustrating. But yeah, so if you guys click that link, go fill it out. It takes 30 seconds of your time. But the next bug we're going to look at is also Seething Shore. We're not done with this map yet. We have a couple more clips. So this next bug is...
Life, I just want to be done with this map.
I know, man. The can't see enemies player bug, where they appear on the enemy boat, hitting you and your teammates, but making you unable to hit them. This bug forces a reload to fix it, which sometimes causes a disconnect. This is the most common bug and happens almost every single game, putting teams down 8v10 immediately in ranked competitive play and costing the game in a lot of instances off the bat. So we will we'll just switch to the clip now, and we'll take a look at that. Hold on, I turned on my stream because
What am I
look, I
looking
can't target this fucking hunter, man. He's shooting me from. They're all shooting me from the fucking boat again. BGs. Oh no. This is why we needed them tested. Oh no.
Yeah, this happens all the
Your
time.
first
This
BG
honestly
make
happens
sure.
all the
First
time.
BG.
It's literally like the first node, and it always happens like to you and the other team. So it's always like a toss up. Like you're gonna get a node, they're gonna get a node, maybe so, and it's gonna be like, you know, as the leader, you look at it and you're like, how did they get ruins? There's 4 of you there. They're like, I don't know. Right? It's hard for them to explain. Like I don't know how they got it. I mean, I didn't see them.
Oh yeah,
Right.
a lot of times too. I've been messaged saying the same thing. Like it happened to me not too long ago, and I got messaged saying that I was cheating. In their eyes, the guy who's hitting you from the boat, he's not seeing it either, which makes it even weirder. So like people don't even know what's happening. They're so confused. Everything about that map and that bug itself is just so messed up. I can't figure out how they wouldn't take it out of rotation with something that game breaking.
So this
You
is
can't kick it either. They count as out of range. I was getting G-Pied by a mage from the boat.
Yeah,
You can't kick it.
The what works for me and what I don't know works for you guys is honestly, if I ever notice that's happening, the best thing to do is just immediately /reload on the spot and hope you don't DC when you reload, because best case scenario, you reload, load back in, and you can actually see them.
Yeah.
yeah. So this
I hate that.
this clip was the first Battleground I played in Shadowlands. So like I went from like complaining that I hadn't heard anything about RBGs in like pre-patch and beta, and like that they should test it, and then like sure as shit like just ignored obviously, and then like first game I play I got the glitch, so it was like really depressing. It's been around, so this one's been around since the map came out. As far as I know, in Battle for Azeroth, this happened almost every game to monks and shamans, and sometimes other classes. But in Shadowlands, as far as I can tell, it primarily happens to priests, shamans, and hunters, and sometimes other classes. And the word I was searching for last week was saint. I couldn't remember it, but
I'd say mages too. If I could add to that,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a class thing, but I always see it because the one thing I know that that if it's happening to me is I see ignite on me and I don't see a mage anywhere.
Mhm.
Right. That's how I know it's happening.
Yeah. Again, this is just like I don't know. I'm not a dev, but yeah, there's like a select few classes it tends to like always happen to, and it's switched in BFA to Shadowlands. But we have one more clip here to go through, so we'll just take a look at that and then we'll move on. So this one saying, oh, actually, hold on. We are going to take a look at the game that we played against each other. So we randomly queued into each other. We got Seething Shore, and this is what happens when you randomly queue Seething Shore. Everybody on this podcast is in this game.
2,500 MMR, by the way.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
This was just so annoying.
Yeah. So basically, obviously, you land. I don't see anybody. Like they're getting polyed and attacked, but like there's no enemies around. So I just like you said, Barn. You just immediately reload to try and like get back in the game quick, and then bang, DC.
Yeah, and see what people aren't seeing is right here is that we ended up taking where you dropped at right there, which was Ridge, because this was happening to you guys at Ridge, but at Ruins, the same thing was happening to us, to where we had to reload and we couldn't see anybody. So it was like you guys it was like a 1-1 to start off because you guys got Ridge and we got Ruins.
I was gonna say I was in the middle of capping something. Our CC chain broke and the player DC'd off the CC. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I get the space then.
Oh yeah, and then I think it was my healer here, Vesta, feared one of your players through the map too. I think that happened at one point, or that might have been a different one.
Good God. Yeah. So both teams experiencing bugs. It's like 8v8, we'll call it. I don't actually know, but both teams are down players, right? So you guys just saw, obviously I'm a priest, so I land, I can't see anybody, reload, DC. You know, that's 2 minutes in itself. I don't have a sweet rig like some of you guys might, but yeah, like 2 minutes, you're kind of out of the game. So this is what happens when I finally get back in the game. Okay? So I've already reloaded twice at this point. One as the game started and one after it happened. And then this is after DCing and reloading twice. The bug's still happening. Like it's like, who is he hitting? You know, like his axe is swinging. Yeah. So that's the glitch. You guys get it. We've hammered it home pretty good here. Yeah.
Succeeding, sure.
Guys, sign the.
Yeah, that was just. If I remember, so our Vesta, our lock, feared one of your players through the map to DC him, and then your DK gripped one of our players through the map.
Good
I
God.
remember that because I remember this being the most frustrating, like what the fuck is going? But it actually, if it was anybody else, I would have been so pissed. But it was you guys,
Yeah.
and I was like, and the fact of the matter is it made the game so close. It came down to, I think, like you guys won like 1,500 to 1,300.
Yeah, it was
It
very
was just
close.
like a 1 or 2 node difference, but it was so close. But like it wasn't like at no point was somebody up because like they were doing better in the game. It was because, hey, at this point you have 10 players and we have 8, and then at this point you have 8 players and we have 10, right? And it was just the stupidest match ever. But
Yeah,
it was fun.
I had to mute the Twitch clips because like it's just so frustrating. You can imagine the comms. It's lots of swearing and frustration.
We're all freaking out because the person who's supposed to be at the off base isn't there.
Right.
Someone team fights just confused because why are we down 2 people? Where is so and so? He's not even in the game, or he can't see somebody, or just, the whole thing was just bad, man. That game was crazy. It was stressful.
Yes, it was.
It's kinda fun,
Okay, we'll move on. This next topic is going to be interesting to say the least. Topic number 3: theory crafting new game modes. Adding on to last week's King of the Hill and Oddball discussions, we've come up with some ideas, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on them. Oddball / normal Griffball. One object, similar to an orb on Temple of Kotmogu, but instead of points, every second you hold the ball, your team gets awarded that time. The team with the ball is all slowed by 20% naturally, and the team without the ball gains 30 to 50% increased movement speed, allowing them to kind of, so you can't get kited for 9 years. But first to 250 seconds, time held wins. Thoughts, boys?
I like it. I mean, I voiced my opinion about it last week. I think that the Griffball or Oddball. I know what is Griffball, but Oddball or King of the Hill, like a game mode like that, is the perfect. It's the perfect addition, right? Seething Shore is already kind of different. Plus, Kotmogu is a little bit different. Herotherogue Basin and Twin Peaks both have the same, like, there's 2 of them basically. There's a Twin Peaks and there's a Warsong Gulch. There's a Herotherogue Basin and there's a Deep Wind Gorge, right? And then Silver Shard Mines is a little bit unique as well. I think adding another game mode, it goes perfect for it. King of the Hill, I can imagine, Blizzard team getting a lot of praise for making another RBG map, especially in this expansion.
Yeah.
People would love it. As long as it doesn't have Seething Shore level bugs, people would love it.
I think it'd be really cool. I think the increased movement speed I actually don't like. I think the idea. So what I think that does, I think it limits the potential for strategy. I do like the idea that whoever's holding the ball is slowed, and potentially the idea to pass the ball too. Because I think the idea of slowing and kiting versus team fighting it once again it gives you the choice, which also gives you that option between what kind of comp do you have, or depending on what night it is. Because I know sometimes when I'm queuing, I might have an Arms Warrior, a Ret Paladin, and a Frost DK. I might have an Affliction Lock, two Boomies, and a Rogue, or something like that. Like, I've got a really good team fight comp. Other nights, like I've seen Perturb the other night was queuing three Boomies and two Rogues, and very, very little melee. I know AIM notoriously doesn't run almost any melee. AIM almost always runs
The
casters.
the three boomies and two rogues has been kind of a meta lately.
It's
From what
if
I've
you play
seen.
it correctly, no base is safe, 100%. I know Perturb. Man, he stresses me out queuing into him if I'm sitting a base because I know they're gonna hit the base, and as the rogue sitting, like you have to make that decision. If those guys could probably just sit stealth in their starting zone in AFK, and you're
Well, three
horrified.
boomies.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
three boomies and two rogues. The only way that I've found to safely sit a base with that is you have to have a tank, and I mean like a Pally or a Vengeance has to sit it, and even then you have so little time to react because if he gets dueled, you have to trust that they're good enough of a player that know how to spin while dueled,
mm-hmm.
and then after that, right, like they have to be able to stay alive against however many people are there or not blow their CC, or just be good enough to spin against 2 to 3 people, which not many tanks players
Yeah.
are.
I think
And
I
yeah,
don't know. Like, I don't think you can viably. I don't think there's a single class. I mean, even I know if I'm on my rogue and I've got a pretty good boomy with me, I can cap on tanks and things like that. A lot of times it's just
Yeah.
waiting back and forth. They're just trying to buy time, but that base is yours if someone doesn't get there.
That's why stealth is important. That's why
But that's the thing. I mean,
Boomy and Rogues are the best. Sorry, Hero, go
yeah,
ahead.
so I mean, as far as keeping to the topic, I think that game mode would be phenomenal. But I would like to see the ability, like I said, I think passing the ball and keeping the ball a little bit slower gives you that chance where maybe you have a less of a team fight comp, or maybe you just know you have weaker players. You queue into a team that you know is probably a better team. It gives you that chance. Okay, well maybe we can kite this or pass this till certain things, and give you that chance to still open a win condition. I never liked even the old Deep Wind Gorge. That first team fight in middle realistically set the pace for that game. And
mhm,
same thing as personally why I love Battle for Gilneas, but it is another one of those things too where everyone loves Gilneas for that exact point. If you have a much stronger team fight, you probably get Waterworks pretty early on. And that second team is already on their heels trying to come back.
yeah,
So I'd like to see if they open new game modes. I really like from a leader perspective to not feel as restricted. Okay, well, like I have to have these classes because what if we get this map? Here's the players I've got. These are really good players. He happens to play this class. I can work with this on this. Like maybe we have to slow, or maybe we have the team fight. Whatever it is, you can play that same map, let's say 100 times this season, and have 100 different games. It's not quite the same every time. I don't like the repetitiveness that certain maps have become. But I would 100%. If that came out, I would love to play it. I think that would be an absolute blast and a whole new type of game mode to have to relearn the meta again and relearn the different strats and how to play that. So I'd play that 100 times. I think that'd be a blast.
oh yeah.
Touching on something you
I
said there, Hero. Sorry, Barn, go ahead.
no. I just said I agree.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think one thing you said here that kind of caught my like interest big time that I would like to see too is the ability as a leader to take like more friends and like different classes and stuff. Like right now it's very much like we just said, like three boomies, two rogues, an FC. You know what I mean? Like you can't go and take your freaking um I don't know, like hunter friend or like mage friend. Like it just doesn't really work that well. And what about having what if you could veto maps? Like, what if you could veto two maps, and so like that way you could like tailor what maps you're gonna get to your comp, so you could end up taking anybody, and it would allow you to like all classes to be way more effective in RPGs, and it would make players way happier.
I think on paper it sounds good, but my fear is like as we've seen here, right? So this is something I've been noticing. This is week 2, so this will change as we go. But both weeks we've had a total of 4 maps now with the veto or play, and it's been unanimous across the board, 3-0 both weeks. And I realistically think that a lot of the community is going to side that way. So like I think a game like Seething Shore would probably get unanimously downvoted, which means you might just not play that game. Which, I mean, hear me out. With Seething, obviously none of us are going to complain, but it could also limit you too. Like, let's say I've got a team and I want Gilneas. I know I've got a really confident fight, or that also opens up the ability to dodge or snipe or things like. It just opens up a whole different side of the game that I think could be manipulated or used to completely avoid certain things that I just think it's cheesy. I think like on paper it would be cool. I just feel like it would never play out the way we would like it to be.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
feel like map rotation needs to be 100% randomized, which I know is actually kind of the next topic
I
we're
think
going
I
to as
agree
well.
with. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like
No, you're fine.
I agree with Hero on this. Is that if you have the option to like downvote um, two maps, you're gonna have teams that form specifically because like you always have to bring a tank, right? You always have to bring a tank or somebody that can FC. You're gonna have teams that are forming specifically for like the team fight maps that are gonna be super good for the team fight maps, but they don't have a good FC. But that's okay because they downvoted Temple and or they downvoted Twin Peaks and Warsun Gold, so they'll never get it right. So like a team like mine, my teams generally tend to have a very high win percentage on those maps, right? We may never get into them as much as we normally do, and like we love those flag carry maps, right? But if every other team in the bracket knows that we're queuing and just downvotes those two maps, we'll never queue in. We'll never queue that map because it's like you guys have both experienced it. You're queuing against a team that is probably a lot better. They're higher MMR or they're just notoriously like you seem a little bit outmatched, but you get it like an FC map or like a map that you guys are strong on, and like you face a team that's better than you on a map that like you're really strong on, and you maybe manage to squeak out a win barely, right? That's one of the best feelings in the world. And for me, I feel like that wouldn't happen anymore when you let people downvote maps. Like
Yeah.
people would just stop playing the maps that they're bad at.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's part of being a good player or even just a better player in general, right? So I know, I'm far from I'm far from the best player, obviously, but I really like those game modes where I'm challenged. If I feel like it makes me have to mechanically become a better player, such as like I said about Seething. If it wasn't so bugged, I think it actually could have potential to be one of my favorite maps. It
Yeah.
has so much potential for counterplay and outplay, and one-on-one skill levels have to be up to a higher level than a regular game where it just doesn't feel quite as much. But um, I think he said, I think it would actually hold the bracket back. People would be avoiding those maps that are difficult and not be willing to challenge themselves, which also inherently takes away the ability to optimize. If you've got the better team, sometimes you deserve that win, right? Sometimes that's just what that map or other maps come into. Sometimes you're the better team and you just beat that other team. Those are rewarding. That's rewarding your team and your leadership for being the better team. If other teams are afraid to play that map and you have a team that can win that map, you just take away those wins that could have been there from the good team and reward the players afraid to press Q.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's quick yes or no, and then we have a big topic that's like current coming up. But yes or no, or whatever, like or not like. Team deathmatch, first to X amount of kills wins, and capture the hill, a spiral path around to the up to the top of a mountain. The team rushing to the top gets 50% movement speed. Both teams get a chance on offense and defense. The winner is the most time on defense / least on offense. So basically, rush to the top of a mountain, or team deathmatch, first to X amount of kills wins. What do you guys think about those two game modes, real quick?
I'll let Barndoorr start. I'm curious.
I like the first to the top of the hill one. I don't like the first X amount of kills. I just feel like the first X amount of kills it's too it's not varied. Like Gilneas, people love Gilneas because generally, if you win the team fight, you're in a really good spot. But one thing I love about it is that just because you lose the first initial team fight, which my teams often do, we find ways to win that don't necessarily mean winning the team fight. And I think that is the mark of a good map, is being able to have multiple ways to win. You can either ninja bases or you can win the team fights, right? Either ninja bases and hold them for long enough to where you get enough points, or you and so I think just the first X amount of kills, it just 100% rewards whichever team dominates, and it's all about a just everybody clash in middle and who racks up more kill, who wins the team fight over and over. So I think for it to be a good map and a good game mode in every single scenario we're talking about, the King of the Hill, the team fights, the every single game mode that we're theory crafting or talking about current ones, um, it has to have multiple ways for teams to win. And so that's why I'm going to say I dislike the first X amount of kills, and I do like the first to the top of the hill or whatever that may be.
Sure.
I'd have to say very similar. I'll go into a tiny bit of detail for what I'm thinking, but I think the team deathmatch idea is just overall interesting but bad for the same thing as what I was saying in this previous segment. From a leader standpoint, you form your teams, things like that. That's going to be one of those things in the back of your head you have to think about, and I find that being another just pug crusher, 100%. If there's a TDM match, realistically, teams will make or break that game on the first thing. A lot of those games, if you just get wiped in that first team fight, a lot of teams will just leave or they'll just let the game be over. If you just know, like, well, crap, we just don't win that team fight, teams aren't going to waste or try to redo it. There's no other objective, like he said with Gilneas. Okay, well, shoot, we don't have the good team fight here. Okay, everyone res up on bridge. We're going to push Waterworks. I want Rogue Boomy to hit mines, right? It gives you those chances. Okay, once again, now we can try to play. If the team fight's not our strong suit, boom, we have a counter play. That map, win the team fight or just lose. It's just straight up. There's one thing you have to do, and if you just can't do it, you just lose. And that's just, I think, an unrewarding gameplay that I don't think I would find near as enjoyable. Meanwhile, I really like the King of the Hill idea. I don't know as much about the spiraling idea as much as I like the idea of having multiple hills, and maybe they even change, because that once again brings in mobility again. So maybe every couple minutes, or even randomly, I think it'd be interesting if maybe the hill was 30 seconds to 2 minutes, right? And it's a 10-minute game or something like that, and it could randomly just change. The hill moves, and that way the teams, if you get bunkered up there, like I said, maybe you have the better team fight. You get bunkered up there, you're feeling pretty confident, and boom, it changes. The other team gets there, and now you have to see, maybe you're a better defensive team, but can you push? Or maybe you don't have your cooldowns because you just used them defensively, and the opposite team still has theirs, and it gives you those chances for, once again, I like back and forth gameplay. I really like seeing two teams competitively play into each other. Where it's not as much just about, oh, well, Zug Zug, right? Like, me beat you, team fight, game over. I really like seeing people have to use their brains. I was just not a fan in a lot of the past expansions of the way that RBGs became so team fight oriented, and if you just lost the team fight, you just snowballed the rest of the game. As we said earlier, like old school Deepwind Gorge, that initial team fight in middle, you would wipe the whole team fight, and then you'd trickle down south, and you would have 3 bases off the bat while they were rezzing. That was like the key meta strategy. I just found that unrewarding, and I want to see teams, because I know a lot of good players, and I know, as Barndoorr said, I've seen him play at high MMRs with really good players, and sometimes you just lose that team fight, or sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you want it to, but it still rewards the ability to come back around. So I think King of the Hill would be phenomenal. I think some small tweaks to it could make it a really viable idea. But I would 100% play that. I think he would do that.
What a game! Oh my god.
Can I get a cap in chat?
I wrote him off that?
Oh, you love to see it.
This next map, or idea for a game mode, is 6v6 RBGs. and solo queue. And it's been talked about in Borngood recently tweeted about it, who's like a pretty well-known rank 1 player. Stoops has been advocating for solo queue, and Savix and 66 RBGs for a long time. And it's recently picked up a lot of attention and traction. Skill Caps just did a podcast on it. And what do we think about the idea of 6v6 RBGs and maybe having a solo queue system for 6v6? Barn.
Well, I think Stoops' video for a solo queue, just in general, was really good. I think his main point that he brought up in it, and then this is what people have been talking about, is you're going to have a healer problem. You're going to have DPS sitting queues, and you're going to have too little of healers. But honestly, I would rather sit a 20-minute, 30-minute, hour-long DPS queue for solo queue than not have a solo queue, right? Like, I would rather just have it. As far as the 6v6 RBGs, I like it. I do. It feels a lot more like fives. But I can't say, I think you guys both have more experience with the 6v6s than me, because I've never done like a 6v6 tournament. For me, if I'm doing RBGs, I'm doing 10v10, I'm doing it like that. And I mean, I played fives back in the day, but I've never done like 6v6 anything. So I really don't have much to say about that, other than I'd try it if it was a game mode. I'd play it and go from there. And I'd be happy to see new game modes added. But what I really, really wish I could see is solo queue. I don't care if there's a healer problem. I don't care if DPS queues are 30 minutes and, there's far few healers. Like, just give me a solo queue and put a separate rating for it, right? A separate rating for solo queue for RBG, and separate rating for solo queue arena. It would be so cool. I don't know if Blizzard would ever go for it, is my issue.
I think they are. I actually believe that they, like, maybe not this expansion, maybe next one, or maybe like the end of this one, but it sounds like there's some pretty, again, I don't know the Blizzard devs or anything, but just from like watching all of the videos I could, like, it sounds like they might do it actually.
I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, Hero?
I think solo queue would be phenomenal for the game. I think it'd be really tricky, and admittedly, it probably wouldn't be something that any of us three would ever find ourselves having to do. But I know one of the biggest things I see in communities, guild chats, discords, Twitter, so many talented players, for countless different reasons, just cannot find games. Can't find queues or specs that aren't meta. Like, I've got friends who are just very, very good hunters. And even I hate to admit it, but I know when I'm forming my group, if I've got a boomkin or a hunter, both in LFG, both with the same experience, same item level, I probably take the boomkin. Probably 10 out of 10 times. So certain classes like that are very good are still going, and I'm sure you have a say on that too, BG, as an S Priest. People don't consider S Priest as a meta spec right now normally. They're great, and they have their play styles, but same thing, S Priest has to be played well. A Boomkin can play bad and still pull insane damage in team fights and still just spam clone and roots and be useful even if it's not played at the same level. Um, so I think solo queue would open up new opportunities for either alts or players who are bored, or I know sometimes I want to play and I just don't have my friends around and I don't want to sit for 2 hours in LFG to find 9 random people and then lose one game. That's the normal thing, right? You win some games, you lose one, and everyone's yelling at each other, everything gets toxic, and boom, you're back in LFG again for another 2 hours. To the 6v6 topic, I would actually argue I'd like to see RBGs changed from 10 to 6 completely. Not even a whole different bracket. I actually think one of the coolest things they could do that I think could reward RBGs would be to actually make the teams smaller. Think about if you got 10 people that regularly queue. If you dropped it to 6 people, you can now fill almost 2 teams, which I think would open up a lot more variation and completely revamp it. From 6v tournaments or 6v6 tournaments I've played in, I also just think it's a much more competitive gameplay and leads to a lot less carry potential as well. Same thing back to why arenas and versus RBG carries. I think 6v6s are just so much more competitive and make the bracket that gets memed on. I know a lot of high-end arena players like to say that RBGs don't take talent or aren't hard, and we all know that's not true. But 6v6 basically makes an arena with an objective and now completely changes the gameplay on that. So either adding 6v6 or changing RBGs to 6v6, I would 100% be for. I think it'd be really fun and rewarding, and make the game significantly more competitive.
Yeah. So my thoughts on it are solo queue would single-handedly eliminate a lot of the waiting, like you guys said. LFG is just terrible nowadays. I mean, you got we're all pretty well connected people, and I'll still sit, hours in LFG trying to fill an RBG team. So solo queue, I think, would alleviate that. I think it would help the LFG system just not feel like you're wasting hours and hours of your time. Like you could just queue up. So that's one benefit. I also think that it would eliminate the boosting problem that we're seeing now. Everybody, I mean, if it's crazy in RBGs, it is crazy. Every team is boosting. It's literally if you hit 2100, 10 teams you face are 3K teams that are doing a self play or doing whatever, a boost. And again, I don't think it's the player's fault anymore. I think it's the system, and I think solo queue would fix that. And I think it'd be cool to have, it'd be fun. I also think that for the 6v6, I don't necessarily want 10v10 to go away, because think about the lack of attention they've shown RBGs. They would need all new maps, man. It's just so much work that it's unrealistic to even pitch that, in my opinion. I've played 6v6 a lot, and the maps are too big. Every single one of them is too big. Warsong, weirdly,
Karate Basin with 6v6.
right,
What
impossible.
do?
Right, it's 1v1 at every base. It's crazy. Even Gilneas was doable, but it was a little too big, I thought, still. Temple with 2 orbs did work. That one was doable. Warsong with no roof, they put a gate in front of the roof. If you queue a 6v6, you'll see it just automatically puts a gate. You can't go up the roof. So it's an attempt to make it smaller, but I still think it's too big. Twin Peaks, little too big still, I think. They're all just a little too big, and so to take out 10v10 and replace it with 6v6, I don't know if we would see, is Blizzard going to come out with 10 new RBG maps? Probably not,
You're probably right there.
But it would be cool to have both of them. I think they should do solo queue, and I think they should do 6v6 in some way, shape, or form, for sure. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Last topic for the podcast today. Hidden map rotation and changing the MMR, how it works twice in the same season, mid-season. So for anybody that doesn't know, right now you might notice that when you play RBGs, you get 3 out of 4 of the same map. And then the next day you queue, it's a new map, but you get 3 out of 4 of that map, and so on and so on. Why is that a thing? As far as I know, it's not been blue posted anywhere, and it's a terrible idea that does not feel good.
I haven't. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I haven't seen a blue post about it anywhere. But every single player I've ever played with who RBGs regularly says there is a hidden map rotation. Right? It's just too much of. It happens once, twice, coincidence, whatever. It happens every single day you queue. You don't get all the maps, right? You don't. I'll go days and days and days without getting Seething Shore, and then I'll get 5 Seething Shores in the same day. There seems to obviously be a hidden type of map rotation, and I don't like it.
I
I
queued
don't like it.
2 nights ago. I was queuing, and we got Twin Peaks. I would say 60% of the games, just back-to-back flag carrier games. Yesterday, on the opposite hand, was a Seething Shore day. I queued 5 games around lunchtime. 3 of them were Seething Shore. I queued probably another 6 or 7 games later on at night and got another 3 Seething Shores. So I would say almost 50% of the games I played yesterday broke down to Seething Shores. And I was very, very lucky. As far as bugs go, I think I only had 1 or 2 DCs and 1 person black screened, and both times the reload fixed it early on. So we only gave up maybe one of the nodes for that. But man, let me tell you, every one of those games was running the timer out, mentally draining. I mean, it makes the teams almost not want to requeue again. I mean, we got 3 of them in a row in the morning queue. We got an FC map, 3 Seething Shores, and then a Gilneas. And if we got the 4th, we actually were joking in Discord. We said if the 4th time we queue was another Gilneas, or sorry, if we got a 4th Seething in a row, we were just gonna AFK it. We just couldn't mentally do it again, man. Every time you play the game, even though we won them all, every single game you had to play out of your mind. You had to try so hard, so many bugs, so many problems, and we just didn't even want to do it anymore. We're like, you know what, man? We'll we just leave the next game. And luckily we didn't get it, but that's 100% a thing. And I know we've
Yeah.
all seen it, and I've questioned this for multiple expansions because it really does seem to work that way. One day's an FC maps, and that's all you're getting. The next time, we all love a good Gilneas day when you're getting tons of those. But
Yeah.
as we said, from a leader perspective, that makes you then think, okay, but if we knew in writing, like black and white, that this is how the system works, we could know what to do. Because if I'm getting a ton of FC maps versus a ton of team fight maps versus ABs, deep wins, and deep win gorges or seethings, that immediately makes me think, okay, well, I need a team that can hit off bases a lot more, right? The team fight becomes a lot less important. You feel more inclined to hit off bases and have a really strong base hitting comp. Versus you don't really need a bunch of base hitters. You could fit, instead of having that other base hitter, you could throw a rep pally or something like that in the team fight and make you so much stronger. But that's what I'm saying. You try to build these really balanced comps and you go into it blind every time. And I'm fine with that. But if there is this system, if it's not purely RNG that needs to be disclosed, or someone needs to understand how it works, because I swear that would make things so much easier from a leadership standpoint to just know, okay, well, today we're going to be getting a lot of these maps, or I don't know how they would do it, but this is definitely something I'm curious, and I would love to hear feedback from Blizzard that's never been discussed, but it's obviously a system. I mean, it's one of those things we can't ignore it.
Yeah, this is something like you remember when Rex Troy came out. I think it was Rex Troy initially came out with the first video proving, not just saying, but proving that Blizzard was scaling people's like hidden scaling. Then Blizzard was forced to respond to it because everybody in the community, like Asmongold, started telling everybody, and it just blew up that Blizzard has a hidden scaling system that they told nobody about, and that it was fucking with like your numbers on your screen weren't real, right? It wasn't the same numbers that the other team was seeing, and they never told anybody they implemented a system like this. They just did it. No one ever knew it was in the game until somebody proved that it was. So I think this is something like you need a prominent member of the community, someone like a Rex Troy or an Asmongold or Stoops or somebody like that, to come forward and say, hey, look, this is a hidden system in the game. This is how it works. I can prove that it's happening. Blizzard, please explain. Like, yes, the three of us are streamers and we're big members of the community. And I mean, I'm even partnered, but I'm still, I don't think I'm big enough where I can even catch Blizzard's ear at all. We need somebody else to like come and say, hey, like, all right, you guys need to fix this or explain yourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on this one big time. It's frustrating because it's like for me, you guys gave me a good idea too. Imagine if we could put this down. We could do a Rex Troy, and we could write it down. Because I queue RBGs almost every day. I'm sure you guys are right there too. Imagine if we wrote it down like Monday, Temple, Tuesday, and then we figured it out. That's kind of cool idea. But also, I think you guys hit the main points though. They need to say something. It's not fun. My team doesn't play on Seething Day. We just don't play. We don't queue. Like that shouldn't be a thing. Shouldn't have to worry about that. And also, I think most of the other maps are pretty good. It'd be cool to just have an even chance to get all of them, rather than having Blizzard dictate what we're playing because it doesn't feel good.
So
Would you guys be down?
I have
for the next 7 days to do that?
Well, no, I can already tell you. Like, I can just share. Do you guys have Reflex? Tell me you guys have Reflex.
Oh, that's right.
I don't anymore. I don't have it on my new
Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
You guys should consider downloading Reflex because I'm looking at my
right
screen. I'm looking at my screen right now, and I could tell you, okay, this one day on 2/14, it was Seething Shore, Twin Peaks, Silver Shard Mine, Silver Shard Mine, Silver Shard Mines, Warsong Gulch, Seething Shore, Arathi Basin, and then next I go to another day, and it's Silver Shard Mines, Arathi Basin, Eye of the Storm, Eye of the Storm, Arathi Basin, Eye of the Storm, right? And then I go to the 2/27, and it's Temple of Katmagoo, Warsong Gulch, Seething Shore, Katmagoo, Katmagoo. So it looks like you're getting. It looks like you're getting like 2 throw-ins in there, and then every other game you're playing is the one designated map. It's like if it's a Seething Shore day, it's Seething Shore, random, Seething Shore, random, Seething Shore, random, Seething Shore, Seething Shore. That's what it appears because I'm looking. I've got my Reflex, and I can go through. Look, let me go all the way back to. Let me just scroll all the way back to even last year, right? Last year, right here, I've got going all the way back to last. What is this? October. Warsong Gulch, Deepwind Gorge, Seething Shore, Warsong Gulch, Seething Shore.
So it's like 2 out of 3 games, or even 50% of your games being played on the same map is still just horrifically disproportionate for how many maps there are.
It almost sounds like there's something with the number 3 there. Like
I'd really like to see an implemented system where you cannot get the same map twice in a row, even if that's just a start to it. Because, like I said, I mean, getting out of a 25-minute Seething Shore smack into another one is just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Because they've already implemented it. You can't re-queue into the same team back to back. If you auto queue, there's a system there already.
It's only if you immediately queue, right? You can get the same team back to back.
If I remember, I think it's a 2-minute safety net. I think if within 2 minutes, if you queue, you're fine. It tries to avoid you.
Unless you replace a member of your team. If you get out of the map, immediately swap out healers and re-queue, you can get that same team because this happened to me before.
I would like to see an internal cooldown put on maps. I mean, even if it's 5 minutes, right? If I'm spam queuing with the same team, we don't want to play the same map back to back. The flag carrier would like to go play Boomkin or do something different than have to hold the flag and get tunneled again. We would like to not have to keep stressing off bases in Arathi Basin and just get an FC map in exchange. Whatever it is, whatever you just finished. Like I said, I think one of the biggest things about RBGs that I want to see focused on is keeping them fresh, not getting stale. Because I love queuing games, but we all get those days where even though I'm on my main class, I love playing my rogue. I've got really good friends. We're having fun. We're laughing, but we're getting the same maps, and it all of a sudden becomes you're no longer enjoying it. I think implementing an internal cooldown on maps would be a start to fixing that issue, but I think the biggest thing still here is we need transparency. Someone from Blizzard has to talk about this because it's obviously been noticed, and as we can see here, Barndoorr just got us proof. I know if we were to track for the next 7 days and talk about this, and I'm willing to do this, I'll do it for fun. I just downloaded Reflex. Next Saturday when we come back here again, I'll have the numbers for it, and I guarantee you I'll put the percentages of it for each day, what map and what we had. You'll see one map is substantially higher than the rest of them every day.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I'll do that for us for next week, and I'll want to see. I think it'll be interesting to actually have a physical number for it and see if maybe they even reflect, because I probably play 10 to 15 RBGs a day, depending on how long it takes me to find people. But as long as we can spam queue, I mean, it's not too bad late at night to just get in and get out 2 or 3 games an hour, play for a couple hours before bedtime. I think it'd be really cool. So I'm gonna do that myself, and I'll bring that next week and see what it looks like.
Dope. Sounds awesome, man. Yeah, I think it's communication. They need to talk about it. That's the big problem here. I really don't not that they owe us anything or they need to tell us before they make a change. Don't get me wrong, it's their game. We're not devs. But they should tell the community, hey, we're thinking about changing Deepwind Gorge map. hey, we're thinking about putting in this map system that's hidden. Like there should be at least a blue post about it, if not like some feedback to the RBG community before they do this kind of shit, because it's not good. Um, but anyways, we'll move on. This is the absolute last thing we will talk about today. Hope you guys have been enjoying the show so far. The way MMR works has been changed twice this season. Same kind of thing. I don't know if there's a blue post. I don't think so. Maybe there was. But basically, if you queued the first week of RBGs, you got a free 2,800. If you were
Yeah.
Literally, if anybody in this call, anybody that's within the same ballpark of kind of the rating we play at, MMR was so inflated that you're literally, people that
You were
were
losing
losing.
0 at 2,400.
Right. Yeah, we even got up to like 2,500 and we're losing 0 to other like 2,500 teams. It just didn't make sense. So what happened was you had a bunch of people that were 2,300, let's call them, that would lose to 2,400 teams. And then because all these people were first week of Shadowlands, like for me, for example, I was raiding, so I just didn't even queue an RBG. And then so then you had people just go, and then it's like, hey, I'm 2950 CR now, rank 10 North America. Well, I'm like, what the hell? How? Like what? And then the next week when I finally started queuing and I stopped raiding, it had changed. And it was still inflated. So like we got up to I don't know, I forget. But we pushed pretty high. And then it changed again, like I swear, like 2 or 3 weeks later, where it became even harder. So what happened is you had all these people basically get gifted, and then you had more people with a fixed but easier, and then now all the current players have like 150% harder time catching these people and have zero chance of catching the people from the start. It just doesn't make sense. And they're not playing. They played the first week. They haven't touched their characters since. They're taking up ladder spots for rank 1. Anyways, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, look at not just so this is a change that happened in Arena and RBG, which was MMR got super inflated and got super kind of out of control in the first couple weeks. So Blizzard had to make a change, but I think Blizzard overcorrected as they tend to do, and it was so easy to gain rating. But now it's if you go even, you actually go down in rating. You have to have a decently positive queue session, right? You have to go 14-4, 10-5. You have to have a very good win rate in order to actually climb in any bracket now. Because to what he was just saying, remember, like, the people who are taking up the spots, for one, Spanx. We all remember Spanx. He was a decent player and they had a good team, but they weren't like top of the ladder, like, like, hey, I'm taking up the number 1 spot in all of North America. But he got 3K, literally 3K in the first 2 weeks of the season, hasn't queued a game since. Or he's on his call or something.
If you look at games played of quite a few of the top players on the ladder, it's low. And they haven't played in a while, and this kind of realistically bounces back to the last topic again as well, with just transparency from Blizzard. If something like that's going to happen, that needs to be discussed, or how does this work, or what's happening, because with percentage-based cutoffs, well, if the rest of the people who started later are at a whole different standard, I mean, that's like taking a test and the kid next to you in school has a whole different grading scale than you.
Yeah.
He's allowed to miss the first 5 questions and not get counted off for it, but you have to get everything right. And I still think
Exactly.
MMR is high. I don't want to come across by any means complaining about the current MMR. I think getting rating is still easy, but we're still talking about, in a retrospect, in comparison. I mean, 3K is a high rating. Those are very, very good players. And I'm not going to say anything about Spanx. I played with him a lot in Legion. I think he is a good leader, a good player, and he brings very, very good players to him. So I'm sure wherever the people are at the top, I'm sure a lot of them earned it and deserved it. I know we all have a couple people in the back of our head we could think of that maybe don't deserve to be up at that 2.7 and higher bracket, but at the end of the day, that's all opinions or hearsay. What I can say is I also know the counterpart. I know some very, very good players that are not up at 3K, that are 3K players because of the way that the MMR works. And now what that's done is since the cutoff is so low, and those guys' MMR was so high, they're not queuing. So I know that I've even been running into on my rogue. I'm about 2,500 on my rogue, so I'm technically over the hero cutoff, but not by very much. So I'd like to play, and I get the same answer from everyone. We don't really queue mains very much anymore, man. We're only queuing alts, or we're only doing carries right now.
Yeah.
We don't
Well,
queue
a
mains.
lot of people are like that. A lot of people aren't queuing mains anymore, and
Yeah.
it's oversaturating the 23 to 26, 2700 bracket because everybody who was above 2700 rating or MMR doesn't really queue anymore, save for like one or two teams, save for like the only team I could even think that comes to mind that queues above 2700 anymore is Data, right? That's the only team that constantly queues at that MMR. And from what I understand, they always end up queuing into people who are at 2,500 and below because there's nobody else up there queuing.
Mhm.
And then so that's what everybody runs into is
Right.
in these teams that they're stuck in between that 23 to 2,700 MMR, and nobody can climb out of it because there's no teams above that queuing at all, and the teams above that keep queuing into the lower teams, so they're gaining like 0 points per win, but they're also never losing. So you're constantly queuing up against people who are the same exact MMR as you, bless you, and you only get one. You're queuing up against the same people who are the MMR as you, and if you go even, like you go even 10 and 10, you end up losing rating at the end of the day, which is kind of how with the way the current MMR system works.
Yeah,
I'd also
people,
say
it,
the hero cutoff is going down weekly, and that's another
it's
thing
because
that
carries.
can somebody explain that to
Yeah,
me? Like,
so
what's happening is more
yeah, like
players are
why?
playing and carries are so high that there are, so let's say, right, so every time, so hero cutoff's 2460, I haven't looked at it recently, but I think it's like 2450, 2460. Think about per day, every 24 hours, for every one person that hits 2450 CR, 20 or 30 or more people probably hit 1800. Right? There's so many low-rated games going right now, which is phenomenal. That means that the bracket is good. But what it means, it's going down, which means more low-rated teams are playing than high-rated teams, and that comes into it's going down. So even if you're 2600 right now, you're debatably safe hero, which makes these people no longer want to press Q again. It leads to these guys don't want to play. So nobody's playing mains, so those high-rated games are drying up. The high-rated teams are drying up. There's no queues, no games. Very, very few teams playing consistently. You're mentioning 2,700. I would say 2,400 and higher is still a very dry bracket. There's only
Yeah.
one or two teams going at a time at 2,400 plus, which, like you said, leads into those 2,700 teams queuing into those guys again. And that's why players like Camel, who are 3K CR, queuing into those guys used to be like, okay, like she's like, shit, we're 2,600 MMR. We're going to start queuing into the big sharks up there, right? You know, Camel's undisputably one of the best teams out there right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, queuing into them is always fun. Phenomenal players, fast paced games. I queue into them on 2,100 CR alts. And there's nothing above us. Sometimes there's just a dry period. Sometimes it's lunch, like 1 or 2 p.m. for me, and I'm playing. I just happen to have like an hour or two. And you see there's nothing above us at 2,200 MMR.
See, but
There's a
like
cliff.
because of their hidden, and this is what we're talking about, because of their hidden MMR systems that we call them, and like win streaks and loss streaks, and the way MMR is so fucked up. I tell you, man, at 2,500 we queued into 2,800 data, right? We got our asses kicked, right? I'm not gonna lie about it. We barely held our own, and we got our asses kicked. I mean, they're a good team for sure, and we were a group of viewer RBGs, and I don't get it. 2,800 MMR versus like 2,450 MMR. They ended up actually getting a decent amount of rating. Like, they didn't just get 1 or 2 or 0. Like, some people on their team who were like 2,700, 2,600 got +8, right? And we actually lost like -8, -6, -7, which is like I don't like normally when we fight against teams like that, I don't feel bad about losing because it's like, oh, we lost to a team 400 MMR above us. I don't care about losing that much because I'm not going to lose anything. I'm going to lose 1 point for losing to this team. But at 2400 MMR or CR, fighting a 2800 MMR team, I lose 7 rating. Somebody, please, for the love of God, explain that to me. I don't understand how that is possible. Why is that a thing?
Well, we're all confused. Same thing. We're talking about transparency from Blizzard. You've got your personal MMR as well. I know we've all been in a game where your team has an MMR, obviously, versus the other team, but each player has a personal MMR. I've had games where we lose the game, and two people within 1 or 2 points of CR from each other, one person loses none, and one guy loses 12. Or the opposite. Sometimes a win, you get 2 points, but someone else on the team who's, minimally different CR than you gains 8. And it's same thing. Their personal MMR is weird. I've seen it a lot when I'm looking at teams' losses. If your personal MMR is very high and you lose to a team lower than you, it really hurts how many points you get moving forward. If the other guys, let's say, if I'm 3-0 right now and you've lost the last 3 games and we queue together, we won't get the same points per wins, even if we're at the same CR at that moment, because my personal MMR is technically higher and yours is lower. So if
So
we lose the next game, I might not even lose points because my personal MMR, whatever that means, is higher than what we're playing at. So I really probably won't get punished, but you'll lose more than I would. And that's just a stupid system that's never been explained.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that's the big problem here with like these last two topics is that none of it has been explained. None of it's been publicly said by them. It's up to us to go through, the circus and complain about it enough that it to get a voice big enough to tell them what's happening, and then they fix it. When in reality, they should just put a blue post out when they do something like that. And I think touching on what Barn said, the reason that happens is it has to do with the personal MMR. So I know right now, again, it's just some hidden system. I don't know if I'm right or wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that when you lose 3 in a row, the games after that, like let's say you lose 3 in a row playing with some random group, then you go and join a 2400 team and you beat a 2400 team and everybody gets 20 points. You might get 0 because you've lost the last 3 games. That's how it works. And when you go on win streaks, it's the opposite. After the 3rd win, you start getting more and more points. I think that's how it works right now. And also, I think that the reason that Hero is going down, the title, not the guy that's hosting the show with us, Hero of the Horde, Hero of the Alliance. I think the reason that title is going down in rating to obtain is because all the top teams, instead of playing competitively, because they're all competitive players, they are now sitting it because of this unknown MMR change, right, that we already talked about. And so that opens the door with the LFG system in its current state for them to do all the carries. Okay, so every top team, instead of playing because they know they'll lose rating because the MMR is different now, they all do carries. So what's happening is you have all the top teams that generally would just sit up at the top and queue against each other and fight for rank 1. But instead, they're not doing that. They're coming down and they're engaging all of the entire bracket. They're just flooding it. So what's happening is all the rank 1 teams are actually responsible for bringing Hero down. That's what I think.
Yeah. I think at the end of the season, I know I've had 3 different current safe rank 1 teams say that they're holding off a list of hero carries that will be happening at the end of the season. They're
Yeah.
not doing it until the very end, of course. But I do think with normal traditions here, I think the last 2 weeks of the season will inflate a significant amount. But still, it's still an uphill battle because every low-rated player is getting brought in. I can't remember the exact cutoff. I remember it used to be 1,500. Anything over 1,500 counted in the player base. I've been told it's
I
1,800
always
now, but
thought it.
same.
I
I've never
always
been
thought
heard.
it was 1,000. I always
I'll,
thought it was above 1,000 rating puts you on the radar, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
yeah, that's once again that leads us once again. We don't know. Why is the system not known? How do we not know how that works? I mean, that's just
Yeah.
crazy to me that we can be playing We can play 1,000 games a season, and we're all still just guessing. But think about it, even like I said, if you base an average, right? If we were to just take just my account, I have my 2,500 CR Rogue, I have a 2250 DK, a 2,100 Warrior, a 2,200 Alt Rogue, and I've got like a 19 something Mage. If you add that up, I have one character that is even barely in hero range. So if you were to add up my average and that was what the hero cutoff is going to be, it's going to be lower. A lot of players are like that. They have their one or maybe two classes that are high rated, and then they have 5 or 6 high rated alts. Or high enough rated to count. So like I could have 1,000 2,100 rated characters, and all it's gonna do is just keep lowering my cutoff for my main character over and over again. So the season is so long, and gearing through PvP is currently BIS. Everyone's queuing, so all these players, just by gearing your character, even if you're an arena player or a raider or a Mythic Plus main, or you just do world quests with your friends for fun, you just do your weekly honor quest for RBGs, you're going to accidentally cross over the threshold at some point and count towards that average rating, and it's going to keep pulling it down until the very end when more players are playing their mains and actually pulling it up.
Yeah. Okay. Some good talks today, boys. Looking forward to next week. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Make sure you sign the petition so that we can get change for Radio Battlegrounds. That's all we got for today's show. Make sure you follow, sub, like Barndoorr and Heroes channels, and we'll see you guys all next Saturday. If you missed part of the show, you can check it out on YouTube. We'll post that link. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Thank you, and we'll throw the host to Barndoorr, who will be streaming in a few moments here. So thanks, everybody. Catch you next week.